A quick flying lap is going to be an understatement. This is Thruxton out here in Hampshire in England. It is one of the fastest airfield circuits in the world and is one where we are putting a car that some would say is one of the quickest out there along to challenge. To say that this is going to be flat out is an understatement. Your Sunday Lotus Grand Prix series is going to be in full flow here today as we welcome in some great racing action. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. My name is Jake Sperry. I'm all alone here for the moment with Daniel Costello here working on the director's chair. I think we've lost Joe somewhere along at Southampton Docks. Dougie Beard working on the cameras here today on the Global SimRacing Channel. But to Thruxton, it's brand new to most people in iRacing. It is an absolute thrill and spectacle. Let's get a little bit of an understanding with our GSRC track guide. Apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen. Seems we've got a little bit of audio missing there, but an understanding of Thruxton is this, a circuit that has been about 70 years old now in terms of its construction. It used to be a lot longer than the area that we've got here today, but as we say, it's a high-speed thrill ride. There are only 2 braking zones out here on the entire circuit as they go through. It is a 12-turn, 3.79 kilometer track, and you're looking around at Campbell Corner as one of the best places to hit the brakes at to make a pass in through Cobb and Seagrave, and from Seagrave all the way over to turn number 10 out on track, so up Woodham Hill and towards Club Corner, there is no braking, just a light lift at Goodwood Corner here, and that's what makes this circuit so interesting in terms of its challenge. This is going to be a draft fest that we're going to find here today, and we're going to be seeing how everybody is going to scamper around and do exactly what is needed when they put their best foot forward. So qualifying might be very important, but slipstream is going to be even more so out there as drivers look to put their times in. We're one round through a 12-round season here with the Sunday Grand Prix series, the Classic Lotus Grand Prix for 2025 Season 1, and it was an all-important victory in the F1 standings for Andreas Henkel, who put up the victory by 10 points over Aldrius Valenterius and Jarno Fritzsche in third position. It names itself as a who's who, this top 10, with Pauli Kalevi-Partanen in fourth, Micheleno in fifth, and the likes of Sergio Fernandez, Kimmo Viliakainen, a former champion, Nathan Finnegan, the former pro stripe Jacob Reed in ninth, and Hamilton Barrera rounding out then the top 10 in F1. Looking though towards F2, and it looks a little bit reduced in terms of the point scoring that was there, but it was Mike Christopher Jr. who picked up the all-important result there ahead of Ryan Turcotte and Philip Kuhnhardt, who was there in third position. Mark Sebastian would end up fourth ahead of Carl McBride, with Matthew Cockram in sixth position. Travis McQuistion is in seventh in the championship, with Christian Wagner in eighth. Kurt Clapper finding himself in ninth, and Sebastian Stark rounding out the top 10 in the F2 standings, the difference being those above or below 3,000 iRating out there at this point in time. The team standings right now, Parmalat find themselves up on the top. The team of Fritzsche and Hamilton, with McLaren and Scuderia Ferrari second and third. TVR Racing is in fourth position, with the Kupusakar Fittipaldi in fifth ahead of Tissot Ensign in sixth position. You've got to love the teams being mock-ups of what is there at the moment, with the John Player Special Team Lotus, Volta Wolf, Elf Team Tyrrell, and Equipe Renault Elf making up the top 10 in the standings. Joining me now is Craig King, who has taken a little jaunt away from his Somerset home over towards us right now in Hampshire. And, well, Craig, we're about getting ready for Lotus 79 at Thruxton, possibly the fastest circuit we'll have all year.
One of the fastest circuits all year, and I tell you what, one of the fun circuits in the whole of the United Kingdom. If you've never seen any racing around here, and I don't mean British touring cars, Jake, I mean when they do the feeder sports series around here. You look at the little Formula 3s and the Formula 4s they go around here, absolutely fantastic. Final corner will be a little bit of a challenge for them, though. It's very tight, it's very quick.
It's incredibly quick, and we are going to be seeing that. Qualifying is currently underway, but let's get an understanding of the rules of the game, because it's 33 laps here today around Thruxton with open setup. So they've all got something that is slightly tweaked to be a little bit different out there. There are no spare cars available here, so if you break it here around Thruxton, it's very easy to find yourself gallivanting through the field. You have bought it, and there's no way of recovering it back out. But as with every iRacing official server race, drive-throughs at 17 incidents and disqualifications find themselves over at 25 instant points here today. But to a qualifying and a stacked who's who at the moment in terms of where these drivers are on the grid as things stand. Pauli Partanen, the quickest on a 1 minute 0.5 as things go, with Michael de Turk and Ross Banfield making his first start, but Andreas Henkel has just moved fastest with a 1 minute 0.482, a former pro stripe in his own right, joined the same Turn Racing Grand Prix, Grand Prix iRacing series, the same one that Jacob Reed found himself in. He's on top right now by 200s, and look at that for a qualifying field. It does not get much closer than that.
Look how close it is over there. And this just goes to show it's that close as well, because it's just how quick this track is going to be for some of these drivers. Henkel still going around as he comes down for one last time. Look at these sub-minute lap times, almost sub-minute lap times. It's going to be so close up the front. I would not be surprised if we get tied times out there today, Jake.
Oh, it is that close, and we're expecting to see it through then the final chicane at Woodham Hill, through the club chicane and over towards the line, using all of the track. And then some, as out goes the checkered flag, and qualifying has got itself confirmed then as complete. And I tell you what, that is a flex and a half, that final lap by Andreas Henkel, because he did a 1 minute 0.157, which puts him on the pole position by nearly 3.5 tenths of a second. Pauli Parsons alongside him with Michael de Turk and Ross Banfield on row 2. Kimmo Villiakainen, a former champion, has Jacob Reed for company with Togo Hasada and Jakob Oberslack 7th and 8th. Jack David Spickett starts in 9th, and he's got the legend Jerno Friescher in 10th.
We get to the second page, and you will see that it is Nathan Finnegan in 11th with Paul Williams in 12th. Mikolinio will take that unlucky 13th, and Mike Christopher will be 14th. Christoph Lesniak will be there in 15th with Antonio Vaquez, in 16th. And then Tamas Bartfal will be 17th. Josh Brain in the low 18th. JB Masaida 19th. Jorge Nueva will be on 20th.
It's a huge surprise to see Jorge Nieva so far down the order. On page 3, Seb Alexander, Ryan Turcotte, Andrew Petty, and Thomas Silbernagel, with Ian Haycox and Ricardo Ruiz on that 13th row. It's then Barry West, the favourite here in terms of the fans, and Manning Brennan with Jean-Francois Boscus and Alex Marsh-King in 30th position. 36 drivers here today across this top split, because we have split in terms of this race. So you got the likes of Felipe Garcia Catalan, Keith Herner, Kevin Parrish, Yanni Lehmann, Antonio Alvarez, and Russell Bright on a 103.5 at the back of the field. But expect this to be a hectic start to racing, because they are going to be lining up along the chicane right at the very back of the field. So keep that in mind, as the very last drivers are going to have a very, very complicated start to this race. Andreas Henkel with an almighty qualifying time up against Pauli Partanen, but you've got so many quick drivers out there, including our good friend Michael de Turk, who always wants to try and put his best foot forward. But as the engine notes rise here in these cold track conditions, we are underway here at Thruxton for 33 laps. It's a poor start by Ross Banfield off of the second row of the grid. He's immediately swarmed by Kimmo Villiakainen as he runs through the opening corner out on circuit at Allard and over towards the Campbell corner at turn 2. This is where we're expecting the dives through. Car's going to go a little bit deep. That's going to be once again Ross Banfield, who drops 2 more, and there's drama in the back.
Looks like a bit of bowling happening in the back there. Did not catch who that was. It looks like Herner's managed to get away with it. More drivers losing it as well as they come to the second half of the track. That's Nathan Finnegan just losing it. But what a great start that is for Henkel. Already half a second. We're going to go 3 wide down Village by the looks of it. And it just holds on. Lenio just tried to clasp on as close as he can.
Mikko Leno very much on the back of this with the recovering Ross Banfield after his poor start, and Jakob Oberslack finding himself 2 more joins the train. Journo Freacher, the legend, Mike Christopher Jr. here as well. Pick your poison as you head yourself to the club chicane, and there's contact. Christopher making that collision with Oberslack, who slides off.
It's not a corner you can go too wide, and it's oh so tight. And Oberslack, has he got stranded? Is he just waiting? He is. And I tell you what, this feels a lot like the new tyres have once again caught a lot of these drivers out. A lot of the drivers love these new tyres around here on this track, but it is risk reward. And I think some of those drivers in this cold British weather, yes, it's cold, hasn't been able to do a lot here. Lenio's trying to do what he can though.
Yeah, it's only 22 Celsius out there on track as there goes Mikko Leno, who goes flaunting his way through, and then Journo Freacher will follow into Goodwood Corner. Mike Christopher drops 3 because that's Krzysztof Olendziak who is there, who makes the move. So that's a good move by him as he then moves up and gains an extra place. But at the front of the field, it's a little bit more of an interesting story. The top 2 have broken away here, so it is Henkel from Partanen, and following that, Michael de Turk leads the next group as there goes Mike Christopher there in the Ayrton Senna helmet, trying to make some chase as Henkel sets the fast lap of the race. And watch off the exit here, because here comes Paul Williams.
Yeah, here comes Paul Williams looking to see what type of move he can do. Not sure there's a lot he can do out there at the moment as Mike Christopher continues on. Williams looking for that very tight move. Just gets it stuck, but remember they're side by side through Cobb in to Seagrave. The outside becomes the inside becomes the out, and they're still side by side. Great little respect here from both drivers. Not sure if he's got this done. The outside will be the fastest, and he's going to have to try again.
Yeah, he's going to have to be patient and wait once more. This is going to be one of the fastest races that we've got on the calendar, and that I am sure of. Williams holding himself in station. Christopher once again gets close to Journo Freacher, running through the back half of the lap, then out to Church Corner, through Brooklands now, and up Woodham Hill towards the club chicane, looking to that inside, pivoting. Huge launch down in. Can he get it slowed up? Oh, he just about can. And there is Olinet, who is going to keep himself in play here. Look at how much they're struggling through the corners. It's only a tight little chicane, but they'll have so little wing on the cars that they'll struggle to get any form of downforce.
Would you believe Minis try to drive around that chicane and they can't even take it as fast as these cars are doing? And still Christoph is looking to set himself up. Set yourself out here coming out of Cobb and Seagrave, and then look for a move down into Noble. That's what they're looking to do right now, but you've got the double toe. Williams has got Vasquez, right in front of him, and around he goes. Where does he look for this move right now? He's got so good speed, but he gets down to at the end of this track again, that club chicane later, like these guys are doing, and you've got to slow down super quick.
Here comes Jacob Reed, the Worcesterman's looking for a way through. Kimmo Villiakainen, the former champion, on the outside. They're going to scrap for some room, and it has to be given. And look at how they compromise each other over the chicane. Jacob Reed has to serve the slowdown penalty, and Togo Hesada now brings himself into play, starting lap 5 of this race. And that's what happens when you tangle a little bit too much. Michael de Turk is given reprieve.
Yeah, Michael de Turk now, he can just breathe a little bit. He can start to just work on his pace. He doesn't have to look too much in the rearview mirror. Jacob Reed, this is what he's seeing behind him, though. It is the man known as Togo Hesada. He's looking to really make amends after a bad weekend in the Classics. He really wants to just try and find another position. A top 5 after this weekend would be fantastic. But he's facing one of the toughest Formula drivers in all of iRacing by the name of Jacob Reed.
He certainly is, and you look at the front now, the gap is out over a second for the first time, so Andreas Henkel is starting to turn the screw, as Kimmo Villiakainen will look behind right now in the Raccoon Racing Lotus 79, seeing Jacob Reed there, trying to take a little bit of a wider line, drifting almost through the corner. Togo Hisada has a naturally, I would say, loose setup in any car that he drives. He loves to have a lot of feel in terms of how he turns in, and he somehow got away with it. Group just behind that, you've got Miko Leno against the former champion Jack David Spickett against Ross Banfield here as they dive themselves in through Campbell Corner, over to Cobb Corner, and now through Seagrave Turn 4, and the long launch along. They will go once again, replay on screen. This is what happened to Keith Herner.
Keith Herner just coming around the same section we're just looking at right now, trying to get on the throttle. It looks like he turned in, did not capture that word, a very heavy contact, just turned in thinking there was room, and there was no room for him. Thankfully able to keep going, but that's got to cause a lot of damage on board with Paul Williams. But I just got to ask, Jake, if Togo Hisada's in a race and he doesn't slide, was Togo Hisada in the race?
Well, that is, of course, one of those deliberations that you'll have to keep on going. It's like if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it. But at the moment, Paul Williams is now trying to eye up, and this is going to be the eternal game. How much do you want to compromise the club chicane to end the lap? Antonio Vasquez takes a wonderful line, but he struggles off of the exit by being a little bit too aggressive. That brings Paul Williams back into play. It allows him the ability to attack through Allard Corner and head over towards Turn 2 out on the track. That, of course, being Campbell, and if he can get the move at Campbell, it's great. If he doesn't, then he's in for what is the slipstream test, that he's there again. We'll take another look at what happened on the opening lap of the race. So this is Alex Marsh-King. I think this is going to explain what happened to Barry West. He overcooks it heading to Turn 2, dives to the inside to try and avoid it, and he Ralph Schumachers himself.
Ralph Schumacher himself, maybe even a Mark Webber himself there, maybe even a Roman Grosjean, just getting a bit too hot on the brakes there. So unfortunate that happened. Again, I talked about it, Jake, the cold tyre formation here. That has probably caused it. Man has got some warm tyres though. It's Paul Williams finally looking for a good run here on Antonio. It's going to be tough around these final corners as he gets through into the club. And I'll tell you what, he's got that under control, slowed it down rightly in time, got the speed up as well. Fantastic move.
To say that was clean is an understatement. That was squeaky as he went through. Oh, look at this coming out of Allard. Brilliant stuff by Krzysztof Olenek as he now tries to move to that inside line, fended off with every ounce of violent venom that Antonio Vasquez has. He's done just enough to hold his station, but suddenly Josh Brain had him into the mix-up 3. Here's the attack off of the exit of Turn 4 at Seagrave through the Noble Corner, around the outside, move confirmed.
Move confirmed. Both of them were losing the rear, getting on throttle, but it was Krzysztof who was able to just keep the throttle down a little bit less and stopped the wheel spin as much as he could. He gets on by. Vasquez has lost 2 positions now. Is he in danger of losing a third because Josh Brain right behind him? There he is. Very tough, but no, he's going to keep on fighting this. The slipstream is strong. This is going to be tough. He wants to make this through club, and they come together.
It's not what we want to see. Vasquez into the barriers across the middle of the circuit. It's going to cause huge dramas then as the likes of Seb Alexander is there. One car gets turned upside down going through that section of road, and just like that, it is a house of cards. As fragile as they have been driving it, it's all over. Tamas Bartfai, the driver who was upside down.
Yeah, we talked about it, didn't we? We said that that is a tough corner to make an overtake. So many races have been red flagged in the real world for incidents at that chicane. You've got to be careful to make that overtake. We saw it work once, and it almost worked again for another driver, but it tightens up so much, and you're braking on a corner there, Jake. It is so hard to make a move.
Oh, it really is. You've got to be patient. This is Tamas Bartfai's view, so the track just junks up in front of him. You've got to pick a lane. At that point, it's completely blocked, nowhere to go, and the reversing Seb Alexander tips him up onto his roll hoop, and I think that's where he'll have the biggest amount of controversy out there at the moment. But the podium scrap continues on, and there are 5 drivers racing out there for 1 spot on the podium. That math does not add up.
Yeah, but keep an eye on Viekainen because he's got a slowdown. He's trying to serve a slowdown penalty. And because of it, he's holding up Reed and he's holding up Lizada. And if you're Jacob Reed, you're not going to be too happy because you're losing time to Michael de Turk once again. Lizada's just having to just be safe behind as well. Ross Banfield behind him also had a slowdown at the club chicane, so doesn't have to worry too much. They're full forward, but you've got to feel just putting a stop to all these guys just really doesn't set that momentum going because they have still got another 24 laps to go.
Well, this is where patience is needed. You can't win the race here on lap 10, but we've seen so many times before that this race has been lost, and we've seen it in the mid-pack already here in this challenge. In towards that final chicane, once again, of club, and dancing a little bit too aggressively over there was Jacob Reed, and that opens the door up for Togo Hesada at Allard Corner to just sweep on by and take the race lead away. That is what he does so well, is Togo. He waits, and at the right time, he goes for it. Considering it's about 3-4 o'clock on a Monday morning for him at the moment, he's doing excellently.
Yeah, he has just gone by, and Jacob Reed has had no choice but to say Hayasamas to Togo Hesada. Very rare mistake there for him. And a man that had a mistake and looking to come back up the field. Lesniak still trying to fight. He is in 24th. He's got Nathan Finnegan in front of him. Any position he can get now, he will love this because at the end of the day, yes, he's at the bottom of the field. He's at the middle of the field even, but there's still battles happening. And how can you not like this track?
How can you not like this track? How can you not like this challenge? This is a track which everyone will be able to have an understanding of. If you only have to tap the brakes twice, everyone feels like they've got a chance. Krzysztof Olenek then, who has dropped down the order then after his spin, looks at Nathan Finnegan. That's for 23rd position. Two drivers who have dropped a combined 12 and 9 places respectively. That's 21 drops in places out there, as here comes Andrew Petty looking for his pass out there. That's on Jorge Nieva, who is surprisingly down the order and can only gain 6 places so far. For a driver of Jorge Nieva's caliber, who should be up there racing for the victory or at least the top 5, he finds himself woefully off the pace today.
Yeah, but it's the nature as well of just such a short track here, because remember, we're talking a 61, 62 second lap around here, and if you make one mistake, that 2 tenths, just double that when you're on a track this quick. He has to be a little bit perfect, and if you're still inexperienced on this track, like I believe Nueva is, that is really going to hurt him. A man who shouldn't be inexperienced here, but remember, it's just the nature of where he lives, is Ian Haycock trying to keep up here, but again, he's only +5 for the day in 20th.
Yeah, Ian Haycock finding himself then only the 5 places. The car in front of him, Jean-Francois Boscus, though, is up double digits. He's up 10 so far here in Thruxton at this moment in time. He's got a huge smile on his face, the way that he's been making that challenge. And now you're going to start seeing here, once again, that small pivot over to the right-hand side that leans up through Brooklands in towards that club chicane to end out the lap. And again, all about the final section of the lap. When you've got a circuit like this where there's only 2 real big braking zones over the lap here, Craig, how important is it to maximise each and every one?
Absolute important to keep the speed up here, and it also means keeping the speed in the middle of the corner to make sure that you keep that momentum. We saw what happened with the slowdown earlier with Jacob Reed. It punched it, or Viekainen, punched everybody up, and all of a sudden you're losing that momentum. So Ian really having to work here hard on the brakes for the club chicane. Just cut as much as you can without getting the slowdown. Worked really well, and I believe, look at a different person, Finnegan, he's just having to play it safe around at the outside. It is so close around here. It's amazing how wide this track is.
It is a surprisingly wide circuit using some of the old World War II runways that we got here, and this is where J. Felipe Garcia Catalan will look around and see Nathan Finnegan there, Krzysztof Olenek behind, Manning Grinnan watches on, and the move is made comfortably in the end there by Nathan Finnegan from Club West as he looks to try and navigate his way back up through the pack. But this is what happens around here on lap 14. These drivers settle into a rhythm and they form their battle packs, which they have done at this moment.
Yeah, they're just going to have to accept where they are now. Wide goes Catalan once again in the back. That could hold up, and he gets a bit too hot on the throttle and almost go to the back of Finnegan. He's going to lose one. He might lose another to Manning Grinnan right behind, but Grinnan unable to get a run going. This is a pack you want to work with. you don't want to work against. So if he's losing time here, he's just going to have to accept it, just like Togo Hizada was losing time there, and Jacob Reed has just gone, I'll take that once again.
Oh, he'll have it back once more. He wasn't going to sit by idly and wait for everything to turn up to the books. They've got now 2 more on the back of this train in Ross Banfield and Mikko Leno. What tenacity from this group to start chasing it back here, all behind the De Turk train. At the moment, choo-choo, all aboard for one spot on the podium, but no one quite in a position to capitalise for it. And they will have to start thinking not too far into the distant future about a whole heap of lap traffic in this race, because it's only a 63-second lap that those in the midfield are running. And look at that from De Turk. He's trying to go the full lawnmower treatment here to distract Viliakainen.
I think he's also just trying to use the slipstream that Barry West went off to the side to give him, and maybe that has helped him. He has to be careful now. Now, if you're Viliakainen, you're in this situation, and you're starting to think about, do I need to make the overtake now? We're on lap 16. Can I make it later? And if he's thinking of making it later, where does he do it? So don't be surprised if you start to see some interesting moves from him to work it out, just like Andrew Petty is trying to make some interesting moves to get up the field with another good overtake into the club chicane. We've seen some good ones and we've seen some bad ones today, Jake.
We certainly have, but that was a good move on Jorge Nieva, a driver who we expect to be a top 10 runner at most circuits this season, and he finds himself then a little bit out of sorts here today as he looks around at Ryan Turcotte now, who's trying to get himself involved. JB Masada, another driver who's in the mix at the moment, and they try again to look at putting on the power and looking to get that launch through the Noble corner and over towards Goodwood here. This long sweeping right. You do have to lightly lift here through Goodwood to try and hold it, but then through Village and Church you go through the next section, and it's all about momentum conservation. You're trying to hold that limit. You're trying to gain a tiny little advantage compared to anybody else out there, and Turcotte realises this. Over 280 kilometres an hour. They'll be riding the rev limiter here, heading towards the final chicane.
Holding it as well. When you saw Nieva, he went a little bit wide coming out of Church. He didn't clip the apex like you would want him to. This held off here. Ruiz is also still battling. We've got everywhere going. Think 36 cars around here today. Really does feel like an old school racing, but he tries to fight forward Bredin. The sliding is happening and he just holds on. That is Jacob Oberslack right behind trying to catch up, and he's in his own little battle. Again, 36 cars started. We're with 31 on the lead lap.
Jakob Oberslack there, who started in 8th position, got caught out early, is back in 26, just about making his moves and making something happen. Little slide there for Felipe Garcia, and that's going to cost him a bit of time then as he looks to try and charge. Meanwhile, front of the field's worth keeping an eye out on as Ross Banfield now looks to try and isolate and overtake here. Togo Hizada full position. It's 2.5 seconds for Andreas Henkel over Pauli Peterson. The group are 10 seconds clear of the next pack. That just goes to show you the level that has been raised in this series.
Yeah, but you've also got to think, Henkel started the first few laps. He got that 1.5 second lead. He has just kept that gap consistent. The fact that he's only gained a second is not a negative factor for him. It's a positive factor because he has just matched Partonen. He has matched Partonen, which is not an easy feat in this series to do. Ross Banfield is now having to match Hizada, but you've got to feel one more mistake from Togo, and he may have to give up that position again, and he'll be going down once again for Togo.
One of the legends of the old school sim racing from about a decade ago. Joni Hagner says it's a 6 out of 5 style car and track combination. I'd say that's 12 out of 10 if you add it up there. It absolutely has been. It's been all about sticking to the absolute limit, and this nose cam has pretty much shown that the entire way with Ross Banfield over this lap. Remember, he started in 4th and dropped about 4 places on the opening lap, and that was a blink there that's not going to be very helpful for Jacob Reed, and we hope that what we've just seen there hasn't just happened for him, because that would be just like the engine going pop.
Yeah, well, someone who else has gone pop, unfortunately. Jorge Nieva has unfortunately had a crash, and he is out of the race. We'll look at that later as Banfield continues on trying to find what he can. But where do you look for the move here? And if he's losing time here to Hizada, they're losing time to the lead pack. Well, I say the lead pack, the pack for P3. Gunnar Frisk as well, still looking. Mike Christopher Jr., he has had a fantastic race, but he is on the defense right now as Jacob Reed has also had a moment in the backfield.
Yeah, so we've noted about Jacob Reed and his troubles. Jerno Fritzscher, of course, was a driver who once upon a time could not stop winning in this series. 2016 to 2018, he was nigh on unstoppable, but Jacob Reed, we can confirm, is out of this race, and Jorge Nieva as well with a missing right rear tyre, so that's going to be huge in terms of this. We'll catch a look at what happened to Nieva, and it's a big off at one of the fastest sections of the circuit. You can see he grabs the curb there through the middle of the corner, has a huge off and slams hard into the tyres there at Village and Church, and that is why there is so much runoff there.
Yeah, that was a big crash as well. We'll look at what happened with Gunnar Frisk just going by. I believe we may also see what happened in a bit to Jacob Reed. I think it was somewhat similar. It was a game crash, actually. We did talk about how, Nueva was missing some of the apex earlier on. He put too much of the apex, and that is the balance you need on a track like this, where sometimes kissing the apex is enough than just giving it the full hug.
Oh, I've just had a look at Pauli Parton. He's not having much love here with the lap traffic at the moment because he has had to really battle Yanni Lehmann to try and get through and gain a place. Russell Bright as well. This has completely thrown him through a loop because it's cost him about 2 seconds at the front as Nathan Finnegan here in 18th looks at Jean-Francois Boscus for P17.
Yeah, look for it. You know what? He's got the run as well. And I think Boscus decided it's not worth fighting. He's going to hold on to this. But again, you get the overtake. You've got the overspeed with the slipstream. You've got to slow down more for the club chicane. He has done well. And Boscus has actually lost a lot of time there. Maybe a bit of an issue there for the Frenchman.
Yeah, so Jean-Francois, of course, who's gained quite nicely over the course of this race, is looking around at what is just stacked up behind him right now. And the answer is Ian Haycox, Christoph Olenek, Antonio Alvarez, Manning Grinnen. You've got Ricardo Ruiz and Jakob Oberslack who's there. And they all want to get through. And I don't quite know how to say this, but it ain't happening as they now run on through Noble Corner, as they now sit for the middle of the lap. They are all going to have to try and find a way to just blink on by. And it's going to be so tough in the final stages because this is where you start raising how important is each and every single move.
Each and every single move. How about each and every corner, each and every gear shift for the driver, making sure that you keep the speed that you need. Behind Lesniak, there are two cars trying to go side by side. Alvarez and Grinham, it's not going to happen, but look at the line that Lesniak has to take compared to Alvarez right behind. That's going to help him. He took a shallower line instead of trying to take it like a bus stop chicane, as we say, and was able to keep on going. Grinham behind may lose it, but we've got to get back to the front.
We do, because Togo Hesada looks to dive down the inside of Kimo Viliakainen, and they almost interlock wheels through the chicane. Viliakainen, bully, pure bully, as he goes through, commanding the road. Ross Banfield will pick up the scraps. Yes, sir, I'll move through. I'll take back a top 5 that's mine, and I want a bit more on top of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bully Boy's out the dark, but you can see that was a bullseye of a move, and the checkout is there. And Banfield, all of a sudden, he had the best seat in the house, and he was waiting. He was waiting like the Predator, and he takes it, and he may take another. Almost comes together with Verkainen. I think the wheels did touch.
I think they did, and for someone like Ross Banfield who wants to go out there and be uber aggressive, he almost nearly got comeuppance for it. That's how much these margins are. They are so finite. You can't split pixels out here, and Togo Hesada's not done because he'll try the same move he did a lap ago. Is this going to be a case of getting it? No, this time he backs out of it, doesn't want the look in towards the club chicane, but they've been dropped now by Michael de Turk, and this is costing them the podium here. They've got to work together.
I'll tell you what, I think Hesada almost had a chance there on Banfield, because Banfield had to slow down more than he wanted to with Virkainen, just taking it a little bit slower at the club chicane, and that is going to help Banfield more than it helps Hesada. Hesada's now in the defensive Mino right behind him, and wide goes Hesada into Campbell and Cobb. He's able to keep that position. All of a sudden, we've got a 4-car battle in the final 10 laps here for this very important P4.
Well, I'd say it's now 2-2 because the gap that has opened up is, I would say, quite important. 0.6 of a second. It doesn't look like much normally. Oh, big wide moment up there from Kimmo Villiakainen. That brings Ross Banfield straight to the inside. A tiny, tiny slide as he went through Goodwood corner. Slightly too much, and he's now going to have to try and fight it back on that inside track as he gets it sorted, and that is wonderfully defended, but this will bring the entire group back into play. Villiakainen still holds fourth.
I talked about it, every move, every corner, every moment, every gear change. And also you've got to think that there's no marbles on that far side there for Ross Banfield. And he just lost all the grip there. And Villiakainen went, thank you very much for holding my position. Got up Frisk as well, having some moments out there as well. Makes a mistake, Preacher, making a mistake. And Paul Williams will say, I will take that. Back up to +2 for Paul Williams.
I don't remember the last time that Gernot Fritzsche could only fight for a top 10 in a race. It is something that is seldom seen when it comes to racing here on iRacing, and to see him this far down is troublesome. There's your race leader, Andreas Henkel, in a bucket load of traffic at the moment as he tries to navigate his way through and manages to do so. It's worth noting that JB Masada had a spin on the last lap and he's dropped through the order, but this is now all troubles. No, upside down and around.
Togo upside down and around, and he actually collided with a lapped car. A lapped car lost control, and he had nowhere to go. It's Zada for the second race in a row this weekend, taken out by a back marker.
Wow, Togo Hisada, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all, as he's desperately trying to limp with 2.5 wheels back towards the pit, as Ross Banfield now fights for that fourth. It does promote Mikko Leno up into 6th position, so everybody jump up on the train. A massive, massive accident, and this is why the lapping process in these cars might be one of the most deadliest all season.
Might be one of the deadliest. This is also probably one of the deadliest tracks of the season, but fun track. And you could just see he has to take that apex. He's going to lose it. And that driver there, I believe that was Lenin. Yeah, I think because he clipped that apex, he lost all the speed. Kind of like what happened to Nieva earlier in the race.
Oh, now that's going to come as a blindside to Togo Hisada there, because Yanni Lehmann slowing down on the apex of the corner, and there's no time when you're so committed, you've got so much force in. The moment you try and open out the steering wheel in any way, shape or form for your Togo Hisada, that's a tank slapper and the car's going straight into the fence. So for him, that's pretty much a case of day done, and Yanni Lehmann should have been a little bit more considerate as to where he slows down and lets other drivers through. Banfield, though, still looking for 4th position, and with 6 laps to go, dare I whisper it, I don't think third's safe there. 1.1 for Michael de Turk. I don't think he's safe.
Well, with the way the traffic's been around here, and it's crazy to think in a series like this we have to talk about traffic, Jake. But in a race like this, that traffic could come and go. The usual saying in multi-class races, in traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And I can't believe on a Sunday at the Lotus 79s, I'm having to say that right now, Jake.
Well, it's so popular. This field split twice at 36. It tells you all you need to know about how aggressive everyone has had to be here today. Everyone wants to race this, and Josh Brain having another great performance here, up 7 spaces into 11th place, and now he's going to make it 8 because he's through on Mike Christopher, who's missing the front left, I would say, portion of his wing, and that gives him a top 10.
Yeah, I think I see where your problem is there, Mikey. Is +3 for the day with +4 before that, and a fantastic view on, well, that should be the nose cone camera, the wing camera. How is that still standing? The magic of internet physics and game physics, it's still there somehow, but that is going to be affecting him big time. Usually on some tracks, the aero won't affect you, but on a track like this where it's nothing but speed, unfortunately, there's only one way for him, and it is backwards.
Well, we do note that all the cameras are mounted onto the cars with Gorilla Glue, so it certainly seems that it's held station and done very, very well to do that. Other glues may apply. But for Mike Christopher, he's trying what he can. Ian Haycock's looking for the top 20 as well. And watch out for 4th and 5th too, because that one's at just 0.5 of a second, because that's Ross Banfield trying to find his way through, diving towards the inside. Car's going to go straight on in front, and that's going to be troublesome, and they almost junk up together as they go through. Villiakainen and Banfield and Mikko Leno, they went side by side through the final chicane, bottled up behind Barry West, and still they'll now look to try and get through. Oh, and Leno almost runs over Ross Banfield.
almost runs over him and does not, but he gets the position through Campbell and Cobb. And I'll tell you what, up ahead of him, Michael de Turk had to go and battle a lap car going into the club chicane. He almost got collected in a separate incident. The drivers are having to be very careful right now with the final 5 laps of the race. It's not over till it's over, and that's only a 3-second gap between de Turk and Viekainen.
Yeah, it's a do not say anything until it's slightly too late, as Ross Banfield now has JDS, the former champion, Jack David Spickett, breathing down his neck and saying, well, this was impossible half a race ago. Now I'm going to dive for the inside, and it's P6 that he now jumps himself into. That's as comfortable as it comes for a pass there. So Jack David Spickett has certainly got a car that's lighting up late, and he moves on up now into that 6th spot as Michael de Turk, you feel now, is safe. Not quite as houses just yet, but he's pretty safe in that 3rd position, and this is going to be a great result for Michael.
Don't jinx it, Jake. I'm knocking on wood. Don't jinx it. He lost 3 tenths last time, and as I just started talking, he's lost another tenth. That gap is slowly closing. I'm not saying it's enough that he's going to lose it, but you could see the last lap or two, he had a slipstream to defend on Viekainen. Don't say anything yet, because in the background, there's a lap car and there's Viekainen, and I know Viekainen's having to battle as well, but don't say anything yet, please, Jake.
Well, we've still got more to go as Thomas Silbernagel now looking to try and sort himself out in the final stages. Manning Grinnan has to let him go through the very tight and tricky club chicane, and they will now dance on forward at possibly the fastest circuit in the UK, so to speak, with how much they are spending on the throttle. This just in front of Kimmo Viekainen and Mikko Leino, who are going at it now for 4th position overall in this race. So everything to play for still right now, and every place matters at what is an important juncture at this stage. It's early in the championship, but they do have to know that it's Suzuka in a week here, Craig, and this is going to be a track which you look at and go, Thruxton and Suzuka are chalk and cheese.
Yeah, they are chalk and cheese, and you know one man that will want to race that track and not be taken out. It's Togo Hisada. He would have loved to get a good result here to get that momentum going for next week. He's not here now, unfortunately. Russell Bright is here. Then you've got to feel he's having a battle. And Leno, he's having a battle right now with Leno Viekainen. They're going side by side. They're going to hit those 2 cars very shortly, but side by side for P4 at the moment, and maybe Leno's going to get this slowed down. And yet again, it's another great overtaking the club, and he has to hold it.
He still does, and now they're going to cross the beams as they head over with 2 laps to go. Viekainen around the outside of turn 1. Why not? He'll take that back. Mikko Leino started 13th, looking for 4th place, and they are chopping and changing like there are no more races left to race ever in their lives. This is sensational.
They race like this every weekend because this is the Lotus 79, and he's going to have to do it all over again. He is no longer battling for P3. These guys are on their own. JDS right behind will try and pick up any scraps that he can, but where does Leno go now? He understands the situation. He made the move into club. One of the best moves you'll see into club. He could not make it stick. He got too hot on those worn tyres. What does he do for an encore, Jake?
There are 6 pieces of lap traffic for these 2 heading on to the final lap of the race. 5.7 seconds for Andreas Henkel right now over Pauli Partanen at the front. This is going to be one of the craziest last laps for just off the podium. We will see in a hot minute, and Michael de Turk, mind you, is in the middle of all of this, and they could catch him on the final lap. Watching behind with Viekainen, here is Mikko Leino, will now need to look for that club chicane to be the final place where a move can be made as they make the long run out towards Goodwood Corner, but down the inside of Noble, why not? Gap just a hair slither open is going to be enough for it, but over we need to go to Andreas Henkel, who's rounding himself through the final corner now and is going to go and win this race. He has put Pauli Partanen to posture. Henkel at the double takes what he wants. Partanen second, and now the question is not for third, but for fourth, because Kimmo Villiakainen has lost this one out, and it is going to be perfect. Then as there's a spin, and look at this, look at the try, over towards the line, it's a drag race. Oh, Michael, he held by 4,000ths.
Held by 4,000 after Lino had a bump with Villiakainen coming down to church and took the position away. Lino almost got a P3 from nowhere due to the chaos at the end of the club chicane. A great P10 for Josh Brain, +8 for the day. He will be absolutely static with that performance. But what a photo finish we see out there today.
You never count out this race until the very end, and Michael de Turk nearly found his podium snatched at the final metre of this race at Thruxton. What a showcase we have had, but at the front, you just have to say it. It's an era of dominance we haven't seen in a very long time. Pauli used to be the maestro who said that you cannot beat me. Andreas Henkel has raised the bar even further and said, no, sunshine, you can't beat me. 7.5 seconds for the former pro Stripe over Pauli Partanen, with Michael de Turk clinging on with fingernails for the podium over Mikko Leino. Kimmo Villiakainen had his shot, but lost out late with Jack David Spickett in 6th, and Ross Banfield dropping back to 7th late on in the race. Paul Williams will get a well-deserved 8th place ahead of Journo Fritzscher in 9th. Josh Brain would round out the top 10.
We get to P11, it's Mike Christopher Jr. and +11 for Andrew Petty today to finish 12th. JB Macedo will be 13th with Ryan Turcott in 14th, and Nathan Finnegan will finish 15th. But the big mover of the day, +17 for Kevin Parrish to finish 16th. Krzysztof Lesniak falls down to 17th. Antonio Alvarez also went +17 for 18th. Thomas Siebenegger will be 19th with Ian Haycock +5 into 20th.
Now, the big surprising thing is this is a track with only 2 braking zones, so 66 braking zones on the lap. We've only got 14 cars on the leading lap, as Jean-Francois Boscus would finish off 21st ahead of Manning Grinnen, with Jakob Oberslack dropping way down the order to 22nd ahead of J. Felipe Garcia Catalan, Russell Bright, Keith Herner. 2 laps down for Jacob Reed, a PC crash, a game free, so to speak, costing him what would have been a top 5 finish if he was able to convert, with Ricardo Ruiz in 28th. Barry West 29th is the first driver 5 laps down, and then we hit the retirements, and the big one is that car number 9, Togo Hasada, who will be devastated.
Absolutely devastated after what happened. Collided with Lehman, who finishes in 31st. Then Jorge Nieva, as we saw, finish in the 32nd. Antonio Vazquez will be 33rd. Seb Alexander, 34th. Tamas Bartfal will be 35th. And Alex Marsh King, we saw at the start of the race, finishing out there in 36th.
Yeah, so some wonderful work there from Alex King that did not come out the way that he wanted it to. There, the opening lap catching him out and unawares. Joining us now in the commentary box will be the postman, Pauli Partanen. He always seems to deliver, and he will deliver stood by with Craig King.
Yeah, from one postman to another Partanen. That looked to be a very tricky race out there today, but for a man that's usually not used to see people in front of him, that must have been really tough to keep up with Henkel today.
Had some very bad luck with the back markers. I think Henkel was having a bit more luck than me, but yeah, anyway, I was not having the pace as Henkel had, so I was not really fighting what of him, but I was really trying. I was trying to push and find the last tenths on every lap that where this guy goes faster than me, but yeah, I was not able to find those, and it was easy win for Andreas. But I'm still happy. Good pace and good race anyway.
Yeah, good pace, and it did look a good race here. This is the first time we've been to Thruxton here in the series. It looked like it was a blast in the spectators here. How was it learning this track? Because it's such a quick track, and you don't have a lot of opportunity to make moves. There's only 2 heavy braking points. So how did you enjoy this track out there today?
I think it looks easier than it is. This track actually, you need a lot of skill to be fast here. It looks easy, like 2 heavy braking zones and almost full total whole race. So on paper it's easy track, but it's really not. You need to be very careful. Your setup needs to be perfect if you wanna be fast here. So I was mostly just trying to find the best lines, but I think I did something wrong on the training with the last corner because I was always slow there. So for the next time I need to figure out why I was slow there. But Yeah, I like this track. This track fits this car super perfectly, so hopefully we will see this in future too.
Yeah, I think everyone has enjoyed this, and we go now from a track that is going to be a new favorite for the series to a track that is a favorite for everybody, because next week we head to Suzuka. That, I believe, might be a track that you're looking forward to. Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, you are right, but sadly I won't be home that day, so I will miss it. But yeah, I would love to race Lotus here, and I have won many races there, so I really love the track. But sadly I won't be home, so it's a skip week for me, but I already made setups for it for the community, so if anybody's watching these broadcasts and hearing my voice, go check our Lotus 79 Discord, and you can find some good setups there from me.
Well, that is what is good about this community. Everybody works together to give them all a chance to race. Partonen, congratulations on a fantastic P2 for the day. And like he said, don't forget to check out the community Discord. And I'm pretty sure some people will probably race next week and be thanking Partonen for his setup. That with Parley Partonen in P2, Jake. I believe you're still in the commentary bot because there isn't really a lot of room to move around here, but I believe you got Michael de Turk with you.
I do, and Michael, aren't you grateful you've got two-factor authentication on your podium place, because you nearly lost that?
Yeah, that was just insanely close. You know, you've got a swarm of Finns behind you on the last, well, I shouldn't say the last two laps. You got them the whole race, in my case, behind me. And, you know, trying to get through those group of back markers who are all having their own race on those last two laps. I mean, I bled almost 3 seconds, I think. And then, you know, 4,000th at the line. I think if the finish line had been a little closer to T1, Miko would have had me for sure.
Well, let's talk about the race in general, because this is one of the ultimate, high-speed circuits out there. You only have to brake twice around here to make this circuit work. So in terms of how you look at this and how you are looking to build over the course of the week, preparing for this moment, what is it about this Thruxton circuit that has been so popular with the drivers? Because we've got two splits of 36 out there, and the huge challenges that everyone's been putting into in terms of being quick, but then looking to master this track.
Yeah, I think, there's a few things at play there. Number one, huge thanks to Paulie. He's been doing community sets every week. And so, that lowers the barrier to entry and makes everybody feel like they're competitive. They've got a former Lotus champion doing the setups. They're going to be good. So that certainly makes it easier for people to get there and get up to speed. That the new tire that iRacing has rolled out on Lotus this season is just a joy to drive. It's challenging but rewarding. You really can slide the car around and you feel like you're really driving the car through, in that really dynamic and fun way. And then here at Thruxton, it's just get up to speed and try to figure out how you can maximize those curbs and just how little you can lift in that back section through those fast turns and kind of build up and get the speed up. And hopefully you get to the point where you're competitive. I was a little off of the front runner's pace today, but I'll happily take a podium in a field like that.
Let's talk your championship, because you were 21st after the opening round of the season. You get a podium here at round 2 at Thruxton. That certainly boosts you up the order with the couple of drop rounds that are there and available. How do you look to continue that form of momentum as you head from here in, I would say, bleak, miserable Hampshire, England, heading over to nice and sunny Mie Prefecture, Japan, and Suzuka?
I mean, Suzuka's one of the best tracks in the world, isn't it? It's such a joy to practice. Thruxton can be a little monotonous at times trying to get the practice in. And it's certainly challenging trying to get those curbs right. But when you go to Suzuka, I mean, who doesn't love to just do laps there, especially in this car?
Well, who doesn't? I'd say you're someone who definitely loves doing those laps there, and certainly will love to try and build up on the form we've seen here today. A third place finish today for Michael de Turk.
Thanks, Jake.
So there we have it, as everything just brings itself now down to a close here from the Thruxton circuit here in Hampshire, England. And well, this has been a wonderful bit of fast, high-octane racing here. I want to give a massive thanks to the team who has brought everything over here together, from Daniel, from Craig, and of course from Dougie. This has been a wonderful amount of racing that we've been able to bring over to you courtesy of the Global Sim Racing Channel. You can always catch up with us in terms of what amazing action is brought to you and what we continue to do week in and week out. There is, simply put, wonderful racing all the time and available with us, so you do not want to miss any shows which are coming up on the horizon. There is just, simply put, one more race of 2024 left in the Global SimRacing Channel calendar, and you'll want to join it because it will be the Porsche Owners Club over at Willow Springs. You can catch that at 3 a.m. GMT on New Year's Eve, or if you're there in American time, it is 10 p.m. Eastern that you want to jump in and catch that on December 30th, tomorrow. But from the entire team that's here, it's a case of Pauli Partonen is quick, but Andreas Henkel, there is no one there who can really challenge him. Everyone else are henchmen towards him. Pauli Partonen put to pasture. Thruxton is, simply put, throttle happy and magnificent. We'll see you next week for more action in your Lotus 79 Classics Teams Championship action.